The rain lashed against Xiao Zhan's apartment window, a relentless drumbeat against the glass that perfectly mirrored the turmoil in his heart. The digital clock on his bedside table glowed 2:17 a.m., a stark, unwelcome number. He hadn't slept, his mind a relentless replay of the past few weeks, the unspoken tension with Wang Yibo, the subtle shifts in their dynamic, the feeling of something profound and terrifying hovering just out of reach. His phone, lying innocently beside him, suddenly vibrated. It was Yibo. At 2:17 a.m. Zhan's heart hammered against his ribs. His empathy, usually a gentle current, spiked, picking up a torrent of raw, uncontained emotion from the other end of the line. Fear, desperation, a searing, undeniable longing. This wasn't just a call, it was a psychic beacon, amplified by the late hour and Yibo's unchecked feelings. He fumbled with the screen, his fingers numb. "Hello." Zhan's voice was a ragged whisper. "Zhan Gu," Yibo's voice, usually cool and steady, was a raw, trembling confession. I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend." The words struck Zhan like a physical blow. The rain outside his window, responding to the intensity of Yibo's confession, didn't just fall. It began to swirl upwards, forming miniature, shimmering vortices that danced against the glass, reflecting the turbulent emotions passing between them. The glass itself pulsed with a faint, iridescent glow, as if the very atoms of the window were reacting to the raw truth being spoken. His apartment, through his heightened senses, felt as if it were a fragile bubble, caught in a tempest of unspoken desires. This wasn't just a phone call, it was a direct communion with Yibo's soul, a mind-blowing manifestation of pure, uncontained emotion. "Pretend what, Yibo?" Zhan forced out, his own empathy now amplifying Yibo's desperation, making his own chest ache with an unbearable weight. He felt the echoes of Yibo's regret, his fear of rejection, his overwhelming, boundless love, all crashing against him in a discordant symphony. "Us," Yibo choked out, his voice thick with unshed tears. This space between us. I can't just be your friend. I can't. Not anymore." As the word friend hung in the air, resonating with a profound, agonizing finality, a terrifying phenomenon erupted. The entire city outside Zhan's window, usually a chaotic mosaic of light and noise, seemed to die. The vibrant glow of streetlights, the distant hum of traffic, the scattered lights of apartment buildings, all simultaneously flickered, dimmed, and then vanished into absolute, inky blackness. Not a power outage, it was a deliberate, mind-blowing act of an overwhelmed psyche. The world outside had become a literal reflection of Yibo's despair, a vast, consuming void where hope had once shone. This wasn't just a confession, it was a cosmic act of surrender, painting the entire city with the bleakness of his heart. Zhan gasped, clutching the phone, staring out at the sudden, terrifying abyss that had swallowed the metropolis. He knew, with a chilling certainty, that this was Yibo's echo syndrome, raw and unfiltered by the sheer force of his emotional breakdown. The city was a blank canvas, reflecting the overwhelming emptiness Yibo felt at the thought of a life without Zhan's complete love. "Yibo," Zhan whispered, his voice trembling, fighting against the sudden, overwhelming despair that threatened to consume him. He channeled his own boundless empathy, not to absorb the chaos, but to push back against it, to send a beacon of his own love into the void. "Don't do this. Don't push me away." He closed his eyes, his will absolute. He focused on a single powerful memory, the moment they had created their celestial child, a luminous being born of their combined love. He poured every ounce of his defiant hope, his unwavering commitment, his boundless affection, into the phone line, sending it across the vast, emotional chasm to Yibo. The city, which had been swallowed by darkness, began to respond. Not with a sudden, dramatic burst of light, but with a slow, agonizing resurgence. Faint, shimmering lines of pure, golden energy began to trace the outlines of buildings, of roads, of distant bridges, sketching the city back into existence. These lines pulsed, and from their delicate luminescence, tiny, bell-like chimes began to sound, the familiar melody of the celestial child's laughter, woven into the very fabric of the reforming light. The darkness was not being dispelled, it was being transformed, infused with the undeniable presence of their shared future. "Zhan Gu," Yibo's voice, now thick with wonder, echoed through the phone. What's happening?" "Our future," Zhan replied, his own voice filled with a profound, aching love. "It's fighting back. It's reminding you what we've built." What we are. The golden lines intensified, solidifying into vibrant, pulsating buildings. The chimes swelled into a profound, harmonious symphony. The city wasn't just returning, it was being reborn, shimmering with an inner light that spoke of resilience and boundless hope. The ultimate mind-blowing scene erupted as Yibo, through the phone, channeled his own shattered hope into the burgeoning light. From the very center of the city, a towering, magnificent tree of pure starlight began to grow, its branches reaching for the heavens, its leaves shimmering with the hues of 1,000 dawns. It was the tree of life, the embodiment of their paternal love, manifested on a colossal scale, anchoring the entire city in a profound, undeniable promise of their shared future. This wasn't just a confession, it was a cosmic act of defiant creation, their love literally rebuilding a world from despair. The rain outside John's window subsided, the shimmering vortices dissolving. The digital clock on his bedside table glowed 2:47 a.m. Only 30 minutes had passed. 30 minutes that had almost annihilated their world, and then rebuilt it into something infinitely stronger, more beautiful, more profound. Jean Gu, Yibo's voice, now clear and steady, filled with a radiant joy, I love you. I'm so sorry. I almost threw everything away. You didn't, Jean replied, his own tears streaming down his face, not of despair, but of overwhelming, joyous love. He squeezed the phone, feeling the warmth of Yibo's presence, the undeniable truth of their connection, flowing through the line. The call that had almost ended their world had, instead, cemented their universe. The phone call ended, but its profound resonance lingered. For Xiao Zhan, the silence was no longer heavy with despair, it was filled with the promise of a universe reborn. For Wang Yibo, the void was gone, replaced by a radiant, unshakable love. The towering tree of starlight, a testament to their cosmic defiance, stood as a beacon of their shared existence, its shimmering form a reminder that despair could never truly win. As dawn broke, casting a soft, pink light over the city, people began to stir. They emerged from their homes to see the impossibly beautiful tree, its leaves 1,000 colors, its branches reaching for the heavens. It was the Echo Tree, a living monument to the power of their love. Its first mind-blowing purpose was to act as a global emotional filter. People were drawn to it, their auras of sadness and anxiety visible to Yibo, even from miles away. When they stood in the tree's gentle light, their burdens were not just lifted, they were actively absorbed. A woman grieving the loss of her mother stood beneath the tree, and the sorrow that had been a gray cloud around her dissolved. A young man, filled with anxiety about his future, felt a tangible wave of calm wash over him. The tree's leaves, which were a serene blue at dawn, subtly shifted to a warmer, more vibrant green and then a radiant gold with each act of emotional healing. The Echo Tree was a direct, mind-blowing manifestation of their love as a public sanctuary, purifying the collective consciousness with its boundless, benevolent energy. The distance between them, once a chasm, was now just a brief journey. When Yibo finally arrived at John's apartment, the moment their eyes met, the world around them seemed to shimmer. The lingering emotional energy from the phone call and the starlight tree created a new, permanent connection. They didn't need words. They discovered a profound, mind-blowing form of silent communication. Jean's empathy, now a precise and powerful tool, could project images of his feelings directly into Yibo's mind, a vivid landscape of his relief, his profound gratitude, his love as a vibrant, flowing river. Yibo, in turn, could use his echoes not just to perceive, but to project landscapes of emotion back to Jean, a vast, star-dusted cosmos that represented the infinity of his own devotion. Their telepathic bond was a new love language, a perfect, silent symphony of souls. You came back, Jean said, his voice thick with emotion, but his mind projected a brilliant, swirling image of a sunburst of pure joy. I'm never leaving again, Yibo replied, but his mind projected an entire universe of starlight, a testament to the boundless love he had for Jean. The culmination of this new reality came a few days later when they decided to face the world. They held a press conference, not to give rehearsed statements, but to share their truth directly. On stage, they stood hand in hand, their forms radiating a soft, gentle light. The questions came fast and furious, probing and skeptical, but Yibo and Jean no longer needed words to respond. As a journalist asked about their love, Jean's mind projected a flowing, holographic image above the stage, visible to everyone. It showed a seamless, vibrant tapestry of their journey, their first meeting, the quiet moments of mutual understanding, the creation of their celestial child, the night of the cosmic spiral, and finally, the two of them standing together, their forms bathed in an unwavering golden light. The audience gasped. This wasn't just an interview. It was a profound, mind-blowing act of public authenticity. As Yibo answered a question about his feelings for Zhan, his echoes manifested as a shimmering, holographic landscape of emotions, towering mountains of unwavering devotion, a calm ocean of serene love, and a radiant sunburst of happiness that bathed the entire hall in a physical warmth. The reporters were no longer writing. They were watching, their faces a mixture of awe and tearful disbelief. The chaotic clamor of the world had been silenced, replaced by a visual, undeniable truth that no words could ever capture. The press conference ended, but the resonance lingered. The starlight tree continued to stand, its light touching and healing a world in need. Yibo and Zhan were no longer just celebrities. They were creators of a new reality, the anchors of a new kind of honesty. Their love was not just a personal bond, it was a global force for healing and truth. The call that had almost ended their world had, in fact, become the most important moment in history, a testament to the power of a love that can rebuild a world from despair. The stage lights of the press conference dimmed, but the brilliant, holographic echoes of their emotions lingered, a silent testament to the raw truth they had just broadcast to the world. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan, their hands still clasped, stood on the now empty stage, processing the immensity of what they had revealed. The chaos of their life had been replaced by a silence so profound it was almost deafening, but it was a silence filled with a new, beautiful reality. The first mind-blowing consequence of their public confession was the evolution of human communication. The emotional broadcast had fundamentally altered the way people interacted, particularly within the harmonized network. Viewers who had watched the press conference found that they could now perceive subtle, non-verbal cues from others. A person's words might be calm, but a faint, jarring aura of red would flicker around them, signaling suppressed anger. A subtle lie would cause a person's light to dim, making their dishonesty instantly, instinctively palpable. This wasn't a psychic ability for everyone, but a profound, collective shift in perception. The world was becoming transparent, forcing a new level of honesty. Lying and manipulation became increasingly difficult, as the subtle visual truth of a person's emotions was always visible. It was a mind-blowing global act of purification, all initiated by their unshakable act of love. Their fame, as a result, transcended the bounds of celebrity. People no longer sought them for entertainment, but for guidance and a sense of emotional clarity. Fans, and even strangers, would approach them not with a desire for an autograph, but simply to bask in the profound sense of peace their presence now radiated. This new reality gave them a profound sense of purpose. They realized they could use their powers not for grand displays, but for direct, conscious acts of healing. They established a quiet place, a non-denominational sanctuary of resonance, a beautiful, tranquil space where people could come to be healed, not just physically, but emotionally. The most profound, mind-blowing scene unfolded one afternoon at the sanctuary. A large group of people, survivors of a natural disaster, families grieving a shared loss, individuals carrying the weight of generational trauma, gathered in the central hall. Their collective pain was a thick, oppressive weight in the air, a visible, swirling cloud of dark, discordant energy that pressed down on everyone. Yibo, his echo syndrome attuned to the sorrow, felt the collective grief as a physical ache, a symphony of 1,000 heartbreaks. Yibo and Zhan walked to the center of the hall, their hands finding each other's, their love a vibrant, radiant force against the darkness. They closed their eyes and began to channel their love, not as a gentle wave of peace, but as a proactive, transformative force. The dark, swirling cloud of collective grief began to respond, drawn to the powerful resonance of their bond. It didn't just dissipate, it was actively absorbed, pulled into the heart of their love, and then, in a mind-blowing act of cosmic alchemy, transformed. The dark cloud began to shimmer, its dull hues shifting, its swirling darkness slowly giving way to brilliant, impossible colors. The ceiling of the sanctuary, which was just a normal roof, dissolved, revealing the sky above. The transformed grief, a now luminous cloud of hope, shot upwards, and then, in a breathtaking spectacle that could be seen and felt across the globe, it exploded into a magnificent, multicolored aurora borealis that filled the heavens. The purples of morning became the vibrant blues of tranquility. The reds of anger became the shimmering golds of acceptance. The entire world, watching through the harmonized network, experienced this moment of collective healing. People felt their own sorrow lift, their burdens lightened, their hearts filled with a profound sense of shared peace and understanding. This was the ultimate mind-blowing act of public healing, a benevolent revolution broadcast to every corner of the world. Yibo and Zhan, standing under the impossible colors of their creation, felt the gratitude of a billion hearts as a warm, comforting wave. The phone call that had almost ended their world had, in fact, become the most important moment in history, the single act that had led to a new era of global emotional healing and honesty. Their love was no longer just a personal bond, it was a cosmic force for change. They were no longer just a couple, they were the anchors of a new world, a beautiful, mind-blowing testament to the power of a love that could rebuild a world from despair.